want to have a quick look at today are manipulations, and actually a subset of manipulations, which is feints. Now, in my experience in live roleplay fighting and in HEMA, probably half of the people that I fight don't use feints. And I think this is a big missed opportunity. So I'm just going to take you through what I see as two different types of feint. Firstly, what I'd call a two-time feint, and then secondly, what I'd call a one-time feint, and I'll talk you through that. So I'm going to start off with two times feints first. So as you can see, I'm attacking towards one location, which is drawing my opponent's parry, and then in another completely different motion, I'm withdrawing my sword, and then I'm coming to strike down on a second location. So I'm faking my attack to Eddie's left-hand side. When he brings his parry over, I'm disengaging to go round his sword, and then I'm striking onto his sword arm, which is effective. It can be a very effective way to manipulate someone and then take advantage of the opening that their parry presents to you. However, the big potential problem with that is if you don't do a good enough sell on your initial attack, then that person may not be fooled by it, and they may not have a big enough movement that you can then take advantage of afterwards, which means they could parry it. So I'll just represent that for you now. So because it is a two-time feint, it has this first bit, and then this disengage, and this second bit. And that gives your opponent at least some time to readjust their defense and therefore parry that attack successfully. I still use two-time attacks, and they can be really, really effective. If you present enough of this stimuli, you can use a two-time feint to strike your opponent. But what I also do, which can be a lot quicker, is I use what I call one-time feints. So I'm just going to represent a few of those for you here to start off with. That was a two-time feint. Now the difference is they have much, much more fluidity, and they're constantly spiraling forward, and really it is a feint built into an attack. Whereas with the two-time feint, you have two separate movements. You have the fake attack, and then you have the actual attack. Whereas with a one-time feint, you have an attack coming in, it's drawing their parry, but then part way through, you are using your wrist, and you're, with a relaxed arm, you're changing the motion of your attack, and you're coming in to strike their exposed arm. And it is much more difficult to predict. So I'm going to show you a few more of those fluid feints, and whenever you're doing any type of manipulation, it's what I would call a high stimuli attack. So you need to be presenting some sort of motion towards your opponent that makes them react, hopefully makes them move, go into a different position, or go towards a parry, so that you can take advantage of that opening. So you see body movement from me, arm movement draws that parry. And then as you saw with that attack, which was a one-time feint, it's coming in, and in one motion that is continually moving forward, I'm able to strike into that opening. And my opponent has very, very little time to adjust because their brain has already committed to that parry, and then my weapon is already halfway through its motion, and there's almost no time for my opponent to adjust to the fact that that was a feint built into an attack. So highly effective, much, much more difficult to achieve than a 2-time feint, because when people practice it, they tend to not sell it to start off with. They're not presenting that stimuli to make their opponent move. You have to have that movement at the appropriate distance. Now, if I'm too close to Eddie and I start to do this, Eddie can attack me, okay, and strike me. So it's important that I start to increase this threat when I'm at a distance where he can't just attack as I move my blade backwards. So here would be, and you see Eddie was backing off there, he wasn't comfortable at that distance, which is good. If I bring my sword back now, Eddie's in distance, bang, for a straight hit. If I'm about here, I can bring my sword back a bit with less chance of Eddie being able to capitalise on that. So I bring it back here enough that I can then come in for a strike.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and visit my website.